Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's a kind of a bonus pro wrestling weekly show, if you like. After a pay per view, we like to review them. And tonight we're going to be reviewing AEW Revolution 2024 in the bag, Sting's retirement match. All done, safe, and sound, kind of. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on that as we go through the show and stuff like that. What did you think of it? Has it restored any of your faith in AEW again? And we know that there's been some questionable shows in the last number of months and stuff like that. Still, some of the things still remain for me. The length of the show, I still think, is far too long. Small little things like that they could tweak. But overall, it was a show that I enjoyed. It was a show that a number of people were shocked that I was staying up to watch. But I kind of felt I owed it to Sting to watch it live. This man has been entertaining me now since about 87, 88 maybe. So I felt, in fairness, that I had to rock up, burn the midnight oil. Not like Elimination Chamber. Tony Khan needs to do more pay-per-views, maybe in Australia or England. But yeah, I thought, in fairness, I thought it was a solid enough show. I thought it kind of hit the points that I wanted. We'll talk about some of the issues within the matches and all that kind of stuff, and we'll give a little breakdown of it and stuff, all the usual good stuff. But I thought overall, it was really, really good. Let's get into the comments. The OGs are there. Sean, how are you, my friend? Hope you're having a good week. Howdy, Niall. Hope you're keeping well. One of the best pay-per-views of the year and the best send-off for Sting you could have hoped for. I think so. I think a lot of people went into this show, Sean, a little bit apprehensive to say the least, at how this was going to pan out. Would it pan out okay? The Bucks, obviously, as an opponent for his last match, was kind of questionable. But I think overall, in terms of what was laid out, I think, in fairness, how I was feeling about it going in, it kind of over-delivered for me. That was my initial thoughts on it. Also, total non-stop arsehole Trent Seven is now OTT champion. Fuming, so I am. I heard that all right. How did you feel, Sean? What was the were you at the show, and how was the feeling at the show when the belt changed hands? Interesting stuff there. Let us know your thoughts. Him pulling out of everything was one thing, but him getting the belt off Sammy is really where the proverbial hit the fan. Yeah, absolutely. In fairness, AEW deliver with the pay-per-views, but I do agree they're still too long. I think they don't always deliver with them. Like World's End was tragic, to say the least. So they really needed a good bounce back with this one. And with it being Sting's final match, his retirement match, it's in the Greensboro Coliseum and all, drenched in history, and we'll talk about all that. I have some images clipped there and stuff. Henry's in. What's the crack, Niall? Just came in to give you a like. Hope you're well. Thank you very much, Henry. Really appreciate it. As always, supporting the channel. Make sure, folks, you pop over and you give Henry's channel all the love as well and support. Eno's in. What's the crack, Niall? How are you, Eno? Hope you enjoyed it. Did you watch AEW? What did you think of it? I still can't believe that Sting has retired. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Thank you, Sting. And what's the crack with you, Noel? Dennis, I'm all good. Hope you are good, my friend. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, it seems like we're getting to a stage now where all these things begin to come to an end, don't they? Undertaker return, Sting return, all that kind of stuff. But I think listening to Tony Khan talking about it, was he a little bit overboard on it? He was talking about Sting having one of the greatest wrestling careers and all that. Let me know your thoughts on that. What do you think of that? I often look at Sting's career. Loved it right at the beginning. I was a fan from the get-go, all the Horseman stuff and all. I kind of enjoyed the Crow stuff a little bit. I wasn't mad into it. But then I loved some of the TNA stuff. Certainly that Insane Icon was cool. The Joker kind of one was really showed the dynamic of Sting. But obviously the WWE one, bar the Hall of Fame, was Car Crash. And then he went into AEW and he's doing this thing in AEW, and hasn't been too bad. I think it's been pretty good, but I would say it's kind of he was doing stuff in there that he shouldn't really be doing. But where does he lie? I mean, a lot of people talking him up this week and all this kind of stuff, and yet he gets his flowers and well deserved. Had an unbelievable career and stuff like that. But where does he sit in your top 5? Is he in most people's top 5s? I think when we did the Mount Rushmore shows, we've done, I think, 3 of them now on the channel. He hasn't appeared in anyone's Mount Rushmore in terms of pro wrestling. So let us know your thoughts. I often felt if the WWE situation had been handled better, I often felt really the retirement match is him versus Taker at Mania. That would have been the one for me. Acers, thank God Tony Khan knows that he's fantastic at pay-per-view booking than weekly television. Yeah, but the pay-per-view, I think they just booked themselves. Wasn't happy, lads. Sammy has been a great champion, but it's not even that Sammy lost. Trent is a part-timer and a bit of a layabout. Christ knows when he'll be back over. I don't know. I don't think, unless there was a certain amount of commitment there, Sean, I doubt that Joe would have booked it that way. The only thing I would say is maybe with the TNA stuff and things like that, with having Trent as champion, it raises the profile then of OTT. So it could be clever booking from Joe, but Joe's not going to book guys to just show up whenever they want and stuff like that. Years ago, a lot of that hassle was going on in the Irish independence and stuff like that. And funny enough, the most difficult one at one stage was Drew McIntyre. Was IWW, Drew Galloway at the time in IWW, and he had problems coming over to defend the belt for Simon. And Simon, I think, ended up having to strip him of the belt. I think he sent Vic Viper over to get the belt off him at a show and stuff like that. And also, there you go. There's a little bit of history if I think I'm right. If I'm not, correct me in there if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. And didn't deserve nor earn a title shot. There's loads of young Irish talent who would have been grateful for the chance. But maybe that's the way it circles back around. Maybe that's the way Joe was thinking, that maybe it's who knows? Maybe Sammy had to come out with a picture for a reason. Maybe Sammy has something going on. Maybe he's getting caught up in work or something like that. I know Sammy pretty well. He drops into me the odd time and stuff like that in the shop and all. Sammy's a great lad. I watched Sammy's career since he was a baby nearly, you know. I remember his mother dropping him to training and his mother going to the shows, and she was Sammy's biggest fan and stuff like that. So I'd have a lot of time for Sammy and stuff like that. He's a great guy. So there could be something there. You never know why these things happen. It does come out eventually, though. Crazy that Michael Cole saying that Sting's retirement in commentary last night on Raw. How crazy is it, Acers? Ask you guys in the chat now as well. How crazy is it that Sting's retirement was mentioned on Raw when you think of a guy who's an icon, who's had such a career, who came into the WWE? Okay, it wasn't good in any way, bar the Hall of Fame induction, I suppose, but who came in, he is a Hall of Famer. Is it that weird? Is it that weird? I don't think it is. I think more of that should happen. I think a lot of these companies out there who kind of box that stuff off and try to ignore it and circumvent around it and all that kind of stuff, you'd be better off just dealing with it in the proper professional kind of way rather than messing around with it and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool between Cole and McAfee and stuff like that. And funny enough, I had a slide on it, so you bet me to it. But I thought it was apt that they mentioned it. And I think it was the right thing to do. Sean, by saying that Trent has really good heat now and the fact that Scrapper isn't happening in April, it gives them proper time to build towards it. I really wanted to see Sammy and Barry, though. Could still happen. The likes of a Sammy and Barry, by the way, my view on that as well, and I haven't gone to shows in God knows how long at this stage, but Sammy and Barry on a show doesn't require a belt. Both guys are just so super talented. They don't even need to have a belt to Sting the show. No doubt about it. Sting is absolutely right, saying that AEW wouldn't be possible without one man, and that is Tony Khan. Absolutely, that's true. But then again, remember, this all came from Cody Rhodes and the Elite and all getting together, and then Tony came in. So remember, we don't know what might have happened. If Tony Khan hadn't come in, maybe someone else would have. So let's see. But let's say he did do it, and he has to be commended for that. Sean, fans were pissed anyway because the venue was Baltic and they lost their bar license. Jesus. Okay. I didn't know a lot of this. I didn't hear. It's just, I don't know. It's so tough. Look, it's really tough as well there's just not a lot of wrestling venues around for Joe at the moment to pick from, and it's always been a struggle down through the years. I remember having lots of conversations with Joe in the shop, and it was always about finding a location, finding a home. The Tivoli was such a great thing for OTT. They had a home, they had a base. That was their place. You know what I mean? It was their equivalent of the ECW, the bingo hall, really. You know, but yeah. Darby falling through the glass was a sick bump. It was a sick bump. And you know, give me your thoughts on this. It's a needless bump. And see, that's my concern with as Darby Allin does these things. It has to go up and up and up. It's the Jeff Hardy syndrome, really, isn't it? It has to go up and up and up and up. But let's know, what do you think is going to happen? I was going to ask you later on, but what do you think is going to happen to Darby Allin now? Now that Sting's out of the picture, although Sting did say in the presser afterwards, and there was some nice bits in the presser that we'll talk about as well, but he said in the presser afterwards that he might be open to some sort of a position in the company, non-physical wrestling position or something like that. So let's see what they decide to do there, you know. But we'll see. We'll come back to the presser as well. There was some interesting bits in it. But let me know what you think is going to happen to Darby Allin now with Sting out of the way. Does it all come tumbling down again, or is it, you know, what do you think? He really is a good lad. He tops, Sean, tops. I love that they mentioned Sting and that they're allowed to be human and acknowledge stuff that happens in other companies. Would have never happened on the all-man shift, that's for sure anyway. Fire the Bucks as EVPs. I don't know. Look, I've been as questionable as any of you guys in the chat in relation to the Bucks and stuff like that. I have to say, I thought they did a reasonable job the other night. I have to say, in a difficult circumstances and a wave of crap from the internet community, you know, about what's good enough and what isn't good enough. So it doesn't. But Barry has been doing the gimmick of making documentary for him winning the belt for 5 years. Yeah, and maybe I see where you're coming from. So you wanted the culmination of that documentary for him to beat Sammy for the belt, with all the history and everything else and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's something. Maybe something will come out that Sammy had to do something, or he was caught up in stuff or something like that. I couldn't carry it anymore. I couldn't commit to dates or whatever it is. Or who knows? Maybe Sammy has signed for someone. Maybe. What's the story, Henry? All good. Acers, Haku is next induction into the Hall of Fame. Is he really? Have they announced it? Acers, let me know if they've announced it, because that's interesting. Because Paul Heyman, guys. Paul Heyman. Wow. Very, very good. It was the Red Cow Warehouse, apparently. They served a load of underage kids alcohol, so the venue had their license took. Not good. Not good. Interesting. Saddest part was, out of all the new venues in Dublin, it was the closest to the Tivoli than them all. Yeah. Bonkers is in. Big up Bonkers. Why have a tournament for the tag team belt when you can just put top two in the tag team ranking against each other for the belts? Revolution was the greatest show. There you go. Joe said he isn't running it again. The show was Saturday. They found out at 9 p.m. on Friday. Yeah, look at that. Look, that's not good either. That's not good, because I know Joe pays top wage for these venues and stuff like that as well. And if they're only informing him that on Friday, that's shocking. Carry on. Shocking. Darby will be an AEW championship picture. You think? I don't know about that. Let me know what you think about that, chat. What do you think of Acer's comment there? Darby in the AEW championship picture. Don't know about that. The Elite needed a billionaire to help run AEW. Bucks Cody would be nothing without Tony Khan. I don't know whether to go that far. The Bucks and Cody Rhodes were extremely successful before Tony Khan ever entered the picture. Obviously, Tony's financial power brought it to the next level and stuff like that. But you can't say they would have been nothing without Tony Khan. That's unfair. Cody Rhodes, no. I thought Flair took super kicks like a pro. He does, and always does. Bonkers. Revolution was a great show. They should put the top two in the tag team and face each other for those belts, not a tournament. Yeah, totally agree. There's always been a venue crisis in Ireland. There has. It's just such a specialist thing and stuff like that. Right, folks, before we get into the meat of the actual show and what we thought about it and the breakdowns, you can let me know match by match what you thought and all that. Of course, we have to pay respects to this man. We got word during the week there that Virgil, no less, the bodyguard of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and also a part of the NWO, has sadly passed away. It was interesting, the conversations the other day, the debate about what his actual age is and all that kind of stuff and all, but sad to see Virgil passing away. I know he had a lot of problems health-wise over the last few years and stuff like that. Suffered a number of strokes and various things. Was diagnosed with dementia and various other things and all that. So very, very sad to see Virgil pass away. And we seen him going through those tough times and all, where he was selling like promos and subway stations and all that kind of stuff. So very, very sad to see him pass away. So we thought we'd mention. So as always, from our community here, our great little community here on the upper tier, and especially Pro Wrestling Weekly, our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to the family of Michael Virgil Jones. Yeah, Acers mentions Vincent. Yeah, absolutely. Acers, Okada debut on Dynamite tomorrow night. Really? Interesting. They were obviously holding it back. They didn't want to overshadow Sting's final match, I presume. Eddie was a bit of a grafter. El Virgil, R.I.P. He certainly was. Right, let's get into the review of the show, and then we finish out then with a few little bits. So, of course, these are your results if you haven't seen it. Nobody cares. There you go. You just haven't watched it, you hater. You WWE hater. AEW is the pits. Straight away, I was going into work. I stayed up and watched it, but I was going into work on Monday morning, and of course, Darren hit me up on Instagram, sent me a video of Darby Allin's bump. Good Lord. Darby climbing Mount Everest after he fight Jay White at the Big Business Show. Yeah, I seen that, Jay. And he was saying to Tony, did you see in the press conference, said to Tony, he says, I got cleared medically to climb Everest. And Tony said, not before you do one more match. He's right, Niall. Don't be like that, Morris. Don't be like that. El Virgil was quite a character. He certainly was. Did you watch it, Darren? You idiot. There you go. Shots fired. Darren, you idiot. Jerry, get a job, you bum. It's all coming out now. Right, get more enjoyment. Where am I going? Sorry, I'm not skipping one there. Get more enjoyment out of my OTT on demand. Morris, you didn't tell me you had OTT on demand. You mystery guy. Darby Allin will have a really boring death, like falling over his shoelaces or eating out of day pork. I don't know. He nearly bled to death the other night in the ring. I loved the bit where they pulled the promo after the match. Did you see that? And he was talking. Darren made the point as well. He had to remind Sting to invite Tony Khan out to the ring, which I thought was gas. After Darren reminded me of that, I actually went back and looked at it again. It's so funny and whispering into Sting's ear, don't forget Tony, kind of thing. It was hilarious. But I loved the bit where Darby pulled a little bit of a promo and then he says, it's back over to you now, Sting. I'm getting out of here. I need to go to the hospital. His back was just covered, just gushing blood. It's absolutely crazy. Dazzler, truly Vince ass kicker. There you go. The Kiss My Ass Club at Chibi Productions Podcast. What you saying? Gaff Party was great. Oh, he's an OTT guy. I do, Niall. If you want to log in, just hit me up. Sorry, Joe. Just Joe. There you go. Big up, Niall. Big up, Dell. Great show earlier from Dell. He was doing some, he did an Arsenal call in and stuff like that. He was talking and stuff like that. So I was in the chat for that one. Very, very entertaining and great to see Kyle Walsh back on the screens looking great and all and stuff like that. Hope he's doing well. Sean, I didn't think it was that great. Watched it last night. There you go. Sean, you little indie darling, cop on. It's a graveyard for WWE Jacks. Love it. Ian's in. AEW would have went under if Tony hadn't have stepped in to help the unusual suspects. It may not have gone under. It just may have ran smaller stuff. I don't know whether it would have went over because I know the original pay-per-view they did, was it All In or All Out, whatever they called it anyway, the first one. That was really successful. I think the tickets sold out in 50 minutes or something like that. So I don't think that's fair either. Come on, give him a bit of credit. It's not the Tony Khan show. Same here, Noel. Get in touch if you want it again. Sorry, Joe. Are you that upset over Saturday? Giving out your OTT on demand login. Vince McMahon sold TKO shares for $400 million. He did. I seen that, Aces. What do we make of that? We'll talk about it tomorrow night. I'll delve into it more later and get some news on that for tomorrow night's show. But certainly very, very interesting. At Dharma Cumsey, fella, I love WWE, but that was a good pay-per-view. Any more out of you, and there will be less of it. There you go. What's the crack, Noel? I'm all good, Daz. Hope you enjoyed Revolution, my friend. I meant to tell you, Daz, as well. Did you see that they're selling your man Littler's darts and stuff like that now in Argos? There's a line of gear in Argos, in case you were looking for any of that stuff. If Mandy Rose signs for AEW, would you watch it, Darren? It's all shite. There you go. That lawsuit's paying off. It certainly is. Lad, a fella there, toilet paper at Trent. A fella, true toilet paper at Trent. He was ragging. Should be well used to that at this stage. That happens every day of the week on indie shows in the States and the UK. As I did know, a good man. That's what I like to hear. I doubt that he will have Bray Wyatt in the Hall of Fame this year since Paul Heyman has been announced. Can't wait to listen to his speech. I think they still go with Bray Wyatt as well, won't they? Because I think they always go with a deceased wrestler as well and stuff like that. And I think it would be a nice touch to put Bray in while it's all still kind of raw and fresh in our minds and stuff like that and all. Again, it depends on what way they do it, you know what I mean? Because obviously you've got the Wyatt family there as well. But I think Bray would probably have to go in on his own, and then maybe if they want to do the Wyatt family at another stage, maybe do the Wyatt family then, you know. Let's see what happens. But no, I'd say he could definitely go in as well. I don't even know. Have they announced, is Paul Heyman going to be the headliner even? I don't know. Probably will be. Who will induct Mr. Heyman, the wise man? Yeah, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow as well. But give us your thoughts on it tonight, folks, as well, if you want. Right, breakdown of the matches. We'll start off. TNT Championship, Christian Cage retaining against Daniel Garcia. I think Garcia could potentially be a star in the making. I like a lot of what the boy is doing. And they protected him well in this match with the Nick Wayne interference and stuff like that. Allowing Christian to hit the move, to get the pin, and to retain the belt. So it wasn't a bad match to kick it off. Into AEW Continental Crown, Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. This was one that I was kind of interested in when I seen it getting announced and stuff like that. It was kind of like, how is this going to mesh together? We know how good Bryan Danielson is. He's an excellent wrestler. Eddie Kingston has that kind of style as well. Not so much technical, but more brutality, really, you know. And I was interested to see how this would mesh as a match. I thought they did really, really well. I thought it was a real solid match and stuff like that. And I liked how Danielson brought that bit of brutality and realism to it as well. And, you know, the kind of the going back and forth on the handshake at the end and all made it feel really, really important, like a moment in wrestling and stuff like that. And all. And I loved the backstage. I don't know if you've seen the backstage video between the two and how Eddie Kingston turned around and said, it's not really about titles. It's not really about belts. It's about me earning the respect that I want out of this business from guys like you, Bryan Danielson, and stuff like that. And I got quite emotional between the two boys. And then Bryan Danielson cut a kind of a promo at the end of it and stuff like that and all. And it made it seem super important and really, really real. And I really liked that about it, you know. So there we go. This one is forgettable for me. This is just a stat patter pat. This is a payday for the boys, really. Wardlow picking up the win on an all-star 8-man scramble. Brian Cage versus Lance Archer versus Magnus versus Wardlow versus Dante Martin versus Hook versus Chris Jericho versus Powerhouse Hobbs. To me, there was an awful... This was just a cluster, as they always are and stuff like that. And I just didn't... I think matches like this are just so needless on the show. And this is when we talk about the timing of a show being 3 hours and 4.5 hours. And if you think about it, the show cut off when you think about Sting's retirement and stuff like that. And we knew there was going to be a speech at the end. There had to be, he had to go around and thank everyone and do all the stuff. There was a lot of yesteryear stars that were there to give him the right send off and stuff. We'll talk about them. We have some pictures there and comments and stuff. But I really thought this match was really needless, really. And I thought the way it affected things as well, but the show getting cut, you know, I think when the match finished for Sting and Darby Allin, they only had 3 minutes, they were saying. Then it was cut off and I had to switch to YouTube to get the rest of it. And I thought that was poorly timed in terms of, it was a big deal, you know, Sting's retirement match and stuff like that. And he should have known that there would be needed a lot of time after, you know, to deliver the speech and the thank yous and the mentions and all that kind of stuff. So this match is just a match that takes up an awful lot of time and is not needed. AEW International Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. Orange Cassidy's been one of these wrestlers over the last, say, year or so who's been gradually improving, both his in-ring work, but also in terms of gaining a bit of credibility. Because obviously the gimmick that he has and stuff like that can kind of stick with you and stuff like that, and it can be kind of seen as it is, like a comedy kind of gimmicky kind of thing, and not sort of in a real kind of way. So I thought the match was good between the two boys. Of course, Roderick Strong coming out on top, but then becoming the new AEW International Champion, which is probably something that's needed as well, because Roderick is one of those guys, super wrestler, really, really talented, really technical in the ring and stuff like that, but always at times tends to seem to be in the shadow of something else. So it's nice to see him picking up a bit of gold now, and it'll be interesting to see how he runs with that now going forward. So very, very interesting. But yeah, really good. FTR versus Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley and Claudio. Interesting one. Another excellent outing, I thought, between the boys. FTR are just gold for me in terms of tag team wrestling. The old schoolness of them really appeals to me when I look at tag teams and the way they do these kind of, you know, the way they present themselves. I often question tag teams that come out like with different gear on them, mixed up entrance music, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't feel like a real tag team. When you see FTR feel like a real tag team in that old school vein and stuff like that. Interesting that the gelling of Moxley and Claudio as well, you know, seem to work immediately and stuff like that, which is something that I was a little bit concerned in this. But obviously, Mox and Claudio picking up the win and moving on. AEW Women's World Championship, Toni Storm retaining against Deonna Purrazzo. This was a lot about the kind of interference, really, was the big winner in this match, wasn't it? It was kind of a little bit of a mess, but I was very impressed with Toni Storm's press conference afterwards and stuff like that. That little bit she did, I thought was really, really good. So, but yeah, big up Toni Storm. Met her a couple of times at WrestleCons and stuff like that. One which I was very interested in was Will Ospreay versus Takeshita. Takeshita, I should say. Big debut by Will Ospreay coming in, his first AEW pay-per-view and stuff like that. Gave us kind of everything. My big concern in this match was really the amount of false finishes and stuff like that. And especially at a time where the show has ran on so long, you know, you're deep into the show at this stage, you know, so people are kind of, I suppose the risk with this show is people are waiting for Sting's final match, because that's how they kind of present it. So you're kind of sitting there in your seat. You're trying to bring the energy for each match as a wrestling fan, but at some stage it fades somewhat, and you're counting down on your watch to get the Sting's final match, because that's really where it's at, you know. But with this one, I thought the two boys put on a really good match, and no less than what I would expect. Certainly no less than what I would expect from Will Ospreay. But again, so many false finishes had me kind of worn out by the time the finish came about. That's the only thing I would say. But solid debut for Will Ospreay, as you would expect. AEW World Heavyweight Championship, Samoa Joe versus Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana. Joe retaining the belt. This is what I kind of wanted to see, because I was concerned when Joe originally got the belt that this would be kind of short-lived and that he may not be able to evolve into what the AEW audience wants from their champion. But certainly he has. This was a big win for Joe. But they had a tough task. the three boys, it was a tough task to follow. Osprey, obviously, and Takeshita. Very difficult for most people to follow that, you know. But I thought they did I thought that the story played out well. I thought they did a solid job on it and stuff like that. And they presented Joe like an absolute beast. And that's the way Joe should always be presented, as an absolute beast, retaining the title. And then we got to the main course of the evening for me, which was Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks. Sting and Darby Allin retaining the belts, which was nice to see and stuff like that. Crazy match, no less than what you would expect when you think about the mix in there and stuff. And that bump from Darby Allin to the outside down through the glass, good Lord. And when he peeled over and you seen him and his back sliced on one side and on the other side, just like he was sprayed with a machine gun. But it was interesting to hear that Sting at the press conference, a couple of things came out of Sting at the press conference which were interesting to hear. One was he ranked the match in his top 3 matches of his career, which I thought was definitely a stretch. But let me know your thoughts on that. I'd like to get some comments here before we continue in the chat, because I am way behind, I'd say, on the comments. Where am I? Here we go. There we go. Darren's in. Eddie Kingston is fucking awful, man. He's a shit Kevin Owens. Jeez, you're going in hard tonight. Morris, is it tomorrow you play? No, they're not playing till next week, Das. It's Man City tomorrow night, as far as I know. Kingston must be an Arsenal fan if he doesn't care about accolades. Good Lord. Wasn't a meat match at best. It was corn sausage match. There you go. No, Brentford Saturday. Yeah, he's probably talking. I'd say Dad's probably talking Champions League there, Morris. I wanted Danielson to a bell before he goes part time. Yeah, good show, bonkers. I was really only interested in Sting's retirement tag match, title match. Yeah, and that's the way it was for some people. Ace was telling us 1-0 to PSG. I wanted Danielson to win. Yeah, I think it's a difficult one at this stage, isn't it? When you think about it, because Brian is kind of like, he's kind of a little bit like the elder statesman in there as well, isn't he? And there's times like this where you just have to, you have to do what you got to do. Yo, bonkers, hope you're well today. Hi, Daz, I'm good. There you go. No, Champions League, Marsh, yeah, there you go. That's what I thought it was. Next week. Since Sting retired, what happened to the tag titles? That'll be interesting. I'm sure we'll be told on Wednesday at Dynamite. But also, it'll be interesting to see now what they do with Darby Allin. Where does Darby Allin go next week? There we go for the Champions League. Darren, Roger Strong, who got launched out of WWE development, aka NXT. He was awesome in Ring of Honor way before he got to NXT. Niall, I remember all the Stings. Do you guys remember every one of them? Yeah, absolutely. So many of them. I put a little picture of that. Actually, after this, I'll send you on. I found a cartoon thing today, a guy who did a drawing of all the different Stings. That you'll be blown away by it. I'll send it to you later on Twitter. Mox and Claudio have star qualities of 2 broom handles. 2 weeks until Boss Time debut in Boston Garden. There you go. Darren will tell you all about the Boston Garden. He was there for Survivor Series. There you go. Interesting. So we're getting Okada this week, are we? And then Boston 2 weeks. Interesting moves. Osprey's a singles version of the Bucks. Spot monkey. There you go. And then another shit jab. Good Lord. You're hitting hard tonight. Takeshi's very talented, man. Right decision for Roderick Strong to win. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely bonkers. Aces, what's Boss Time? A pay-per-view or a normal show? Boss Time is Sasha Banks. I'd imagine he's talking about it. He's talking about Mercedes Moné. Match of the night, Osprey versus Takeshi. What did you think, bonkers, of all the what did you think of all the false finishes? How did you feel about them in it? Mercedes Moné, AEW debut, 13th of March, Dynamite, Boston Garden. There you go. Kyle O'Reilly, AEW return, Revolution. Yeah, he looked a bit. Aces, am I right? Did he look a bit worse for wear? Nice to see him there, but he looked a bit worse for wear, Kyle O'Reilly. They said in the press for a tournament for the tag belts. That's right, actually, bonkers. They did. Did you see the bit actually in the press conference with Sting? Tony Khan nearly got swallowed up by the ground. Sting turned around and they were asking him about the start of his career and stuff like that, and how he felt about it or something like that. And he says, starting out with the Warrior and stuff like that, and he says, we had to separate. They were talking about the separation with the Warrior when they were the Blade Runners. And Sting turned around. He said, "What did he say? We were two young guys roided up, and if we didn't separate, we would have ended up killing each other." And I looked at Tony Khan, just looked at him, and Sting goes, "Well, it was way back then. I'm just telling the truth. We were two young guys roided up." I just thought it was brilliant. It was so entertaining. I don't know if he's caught it on the presser, but if you didn't take a look at it and stuff like that, here's some of the images from on the night that I really liked. I loved, because it was the Greensboro Coliseum, there's so much history there in terms of Jim Crockett and all WCW and all that kind of NWA stuff and everything. But the two boys coming out with the Road Warriors gear on them, I thought was a nice kick to the Road Warriors, who had some unbelievable matches in that building and stuff like that. And again, I loved Sting's entrance as well, with the two sons coming out with the USA Sting and the Wolfpack Sting and all. I thought it was really cool as well. I thought it hit well. So I really enjoyed it. So I thought I'd just throw up some of those images there, some points from the show and stuff like that. So I thought it was just a nice touch and stuff like that. Niall, who else do you think will induct into the Hall of Fame this year? I think Midnight Express with Jim Cornette is well overdue to go in. I think it probably is, but I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. I'm not too sure. Cornette has very, very strong views about the Hall of Fame. That's not to say that he may or may not go in, but he's very strong views about it and stuff like that. I don't know. Who else were we talking about last week? Acers is talking about Haku, maybe. Who else? There was originally talk of Umaga, who could potentially go in. Who else were we looking at? Can't remember. We'll have a look at it again tomorrow night. Do our homework on it tonight, folks. We'll have a look again tomorrow. Absolutely. Snoop Dogg's cousin. This will sort out the ratings. No, it won't, Morris. No, it won't. Snoop Dogg's cousin. I don't mind the false finishes. Yeah. No, I don't mind false finishes, bonkers. It's the level of false finishes that gets me at times, because I'm just, the way you're up for it all the time, and if you're there, you're out of your seat, and then it's and then you're back up and it's and then, and eventually then when it happens, it's the one that you don't react to. 31 days till WrestleMania 40. Yeah, we're going to be looking at it tomorrow night, giving our views on it. We'll be going down through all the latest rumors around what might happen as well. What do you think is going to happen, folks? We're going to be talking tomorrow night as well. I was talking to Darren about this morning. We're going to be talking about the IC belt and what way do we see that going now with this match coming up and stuff like that. Myself and Darren had some views on it this morning. But good to get your views tomorrow on it as well. So think about that overnight and stuff. I'm sure today's fans of Sting have heard of his albums. Absolutely. Going in raw on Seth Rollins' clothing, looking like a highlighter pen. Yeah, absolutely. Just when you think he can't get any worse, he just turns it up a notch, doesn't he? And I think some of the fashion magazines in the US actually voted him as a very fashionable male and stuff like that. I think he won a couple of awards, they were his sons, the blonde one, Wolfpack, and we won. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're his sons. Yeah, they were his sons. Batista and Bray Wyatt. Not sure on the Batista one, but it'd be nice to see it. Batista would be cool. But then if Batista goes in, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't think everyone's kind of excited about Paul Heyman going in because the speech would be unbelievable. And in light of the Vince allegations and stuff like that, I posted a video this morning in the WhatsApp group. Remember the promo that Heyman pulled? I think was back in 2001, the Alliance one on Vince. Go back and listen to that promo again. And with all the allegations coming at them, how it rings so true. It's mad how that cycle just goes crazy. But Batista would probably win then as the headliner, wouldn't he? I would imagine. Although, let me know your thoughts as well. Is Batista more of a headliner than Paul Heyman? Who knows? Goldust needs to go into the Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Yeah, absolutely. Works for the enemy, though. However, maybe when you look at them announcing the stuff last night, how they mentioned Sting's retirement, stuff like that, maybe a lot of that is simmering. I have a rumor. Ace's real name is Jerry. Jerry. There you go. Give him the chant, folks. Give him the chant. Sami Zayn winning Intercontinental Championship. Now that's interesting, isn't it? That's interesting as well, because Darren was thinking a bit that way this morning as well, and it's not a bad shout. I, of course, went the other way. I went into business for myself in the conversation this morning. I went into my mad ways of booking and all that kind of stuff. I was kind of thinking, I won't share my thoughts now. I'll keep it for tomorrow night's show, because I wanted to keep this strictly kind of AEW and stuff like that. But again, in the chat, we chat about that, and we want Jerry, get the tables. There you go. Jerry, clear the tables, maybe. Yes, Keith, Cody couldn't lace Dustin's boots. That's for it. I would give the IC to Braun Breaker. Give him a good rub. You'd like to give Braun Breaker a good rub, would you, Keith? Just saying. Only messing. 1-0 to Byron Kane. Very good. Interesting. That's going to be an interesting match then. Ali Khan, hey man, randomly stumbled onto your channel and had a great time listening in. My commute has been more enjoyable. Really appreciate you tuning in, my friend. And don't forget, the next day as well, if you want to go back on as well, the audio shows will be up on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. But hope you're enjoying the show. Always jump in and get involved. Welcome to the community here on the Pro Wrestling Weekly Show. And we're back tomorrow night as well, Ali, if you want to tune in. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll be going through all the latest news from the road to WrestleMania and any other news that's come out and all that kind of stuff. So we love going through all that kind of thing. Bray, I think, that's Bray, I think, and The Rock. The Rock going in, not too sure. What's his second name, Darren? I'll look him up on the register. There you go. Fuck AEW. He's not happy at all. No, Dazzler, that's not Jerry. Tony Khan's a cricketer. He's a cricketer. I say Tony Khan does a lot of stuff. Absolutely will do. Ali loves having you and stuff like that. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, as we said earlier, I do really think this was a nice touch, and I think it was WWE showing that when the time comes around to park certain things and be professional, stuff like that, that they know how to do it and stuff like that. And I think H would have been behind this a lot as well and stuff like that. So hats off to them and stuff like that. But I thought that was really, really good. Just to talk about who was there and stuff like that, it was a real throwback for me. Great to see Lex there. Of course, he's had his issues in his health and all that kind of stuff, but great to see Lex back there with Sting and stuff like that. We'll get into the comments about the other guys, what they said about Sting and stuff like that. But also we're saying Magnum TA coming in as well. Great to see Magnum. He's been on the show and stuff like that. Love Magnum TA. Was a big fan growing up, and it was great to share the screen with him on a podcast as well with Ian on the channel. Nikita Koloff was there as well. I was such a big fan of Nikita Koloff. It shattered me when I found out he wasn't Russian. It shattered me. But yeah, I used to love all the old matches with Nikita and the Superpowers with Dusty and the Road Warriors and some of those big matches, the War Games and stuff like that. And I loved Nikita Koloff. And that finish, the Russian sickle, was unbelievable, wasn't it? Who else was there? DDP was there as well. And it was interesting from Nash as well. Nash was invited. But he said, I think he said on his podcast, out of respect for Hunter, he wouldn't attend because he said it wouldn't feel right being on AEW TV out of respect to Hunter and stuff like that, which I thought was interesting from Kevin Nash, that's for sure. Just go full screen on this to read these quotes, folks. Chris Jericho, first of all, nobody has anything bad to say about Sting. That's got to be the only guy that I can think of that nobody has anything bad to say. Hats off Sting. Sting's one of those guys, and it was interesting. They were talking about it, I think, on 83 Weeks with Conrad and Eric Bischoff. And Eric Bischoff made the point, Sting's one of those kind of low-key guys, a little bit introverted, so he hides behind the mask and the paint and stuff like that, but he could throw on a cap and shades and just walk down the street, and he has that kind of anonymity, basically, which is kind of cool to listen to. Edge, Adam Copeland came out, 100% of the people within our industry are in it partially because of you. You were a hero to everyone growing up. Nice touch there from Adam Copeland. My father, Dax Harwood, this is going to be nice. My father and I didn't have the greatest relationship, but we could guarantee that if Sting was on the television, we were at least going to have those 2 hours to bond together. That's lovely words from Dax Harwood. That's where you see what it means to people at times, about, you know, how you grew up in wrestling and you watched it with your dad or whatever it was, and you may not have had the greatest relationship with your dad, but for those 2 or 3 hours when wrestling was on, all the other crap in life was forgotten about. And remember, the 80s, folks, was tough times, real tough times. Eno's in, rolling into the 4th month with my beard. Tell you, man, it must be well down there now. You must be nearly on the ZZ Top level at this stage, eh? Morris in. H has a lot to answer for things last WWE run. He does, absolutely. And maybe this is maybe his little bit of way of kind of making up a little bit, let's say. I always defend H, you know what I'm like. Undertaker was asked about Sting. Why didn't it happen? I don't know. It's a weird one. I think at the time it was kind of like, I mean, it definitely would have been spoken about. I mean, it was highlighted heavily in the fan base and stuff like that. But it was, again, at the time when he was in there, it was kind of, it nearly felt like going back to the invasion times and stuff like that as well, didn't it? Where the WCW guys, they were just treated like shit. They were treated like outsiders, and it was the old man who kind of pushed the narrative, really, you know. And I just don't know. I'm sure Undertaker would have been unbelievably up for it and stuff like that. But shades of maybe the old man probably didn't want it to happen. But let us know your thoughts, folks. Goes to show you how much WWE has changed as regards to giving Sting his moment on their show. You wouldn't get that if Vince was in charge. I said it earlier. The old man never let it happen. But what's happened to Adam Copeland? Good Lord, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, you go in there and it's crazy, isn't it? Kevin Nash is loyal, you know. Dogs are very loyal too. Do we believe it? Do we believe it out of loyalty to Hunter? Or do we believe that the bag wasn't big enough? Let me know your thoughts. Was the bag not big enough, or is it loyalty? He's selling the concerto on Dynamite. Oh, yeah. Get it, yeah. Absolutely. And looks every bit of doing it as well. But that's it, folks. Curtain has come down on Sting's career after, 36 years, they were saying. What a career at times he has had. A stalwart in the NWA. Remember him breaking in with fond memories. He was a breath of fresh air and stuff like that. Remember, sadly, Ole Anderson passing away last week. Remember him ejecting him out of the Horseman and stuff like that. That was quite a moment as well. He had some seminal moments in WCW as well. Kind of an anchor in TNA. Came into WWE. Kind of really never wanted to be there, but came in anyway. Most of it you could forget about. And then went on to AEW and did his thing in AEW, and that really sums it up, you know. And hopefully he enjoys the retirement and all that. Let's see what happens. Morris, Nash was looking for podcast clicks. We know all about that, Morris, don't we? Ain't we all? There you go. There we are. So that brings us to the point, folks. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell notification to make sure you know when we go live. YouTube is a little bit hokey that way, in the way it doesn't necessarily do what it should do at times. But of course, smash a like on the video as well before you leave if you haven't done it. Really, really important to ratchet up the likes, folks. The likes are so important to get the word out there and spread the words. Big thank you to Ali, who joined us tonight as well. New in the chatting in the community there. Hope to see you more often in there, my friend. Big up to all you people in the chat as well. Hope you enjoyed AEW Revolution. This has been our review. Continue to let us know your thoughts on it and stuff like that. Acers. Greatest ever Sting match was Clash of Champions 1, Flair for the NWA Championship. Absolutely. And great show, Niall, folks, as we are now over and out. Don't forget, tomorrow night, folks, 8 o'clock, Pro Wrestling Weekly. Switch it over a little bit, more WWE and the latest wrestling news and stuff like that. Come and join us for that as well. Then Thursday, Tier Talk. We will bring you that, myself and Darren, as always, your weekly dose of betting picks, latest news, a bit of debate and opinion, gossip, all that kind of stuff, and a breakdown of the Premier League coming for the weekend, especially with that huge match coming. Liverpool and Man City on Sunday is going to be a massive part of the show on Thursday, so don't miss that. I'm going to try and squeeze in something to do with Prague. tomorrow, but it might be a recorded show. So, of course, go check that out as well. Hit the likes on it, and of course, drop your comments in there. Let me know your thoughts. News receiving us this morning that potentially, or today, that Queeveen Kelleher may be injured. I'm not too sure if it's true or not. I haven't heard anything else following up on it. If it is, Lord save us if Adriana's going into nets, especially for Sunday against Man City, but we shall see. Prague preview tomorrow. Yeah, it'll drop at some stage, so I just have to figure out, try and squeeze it all in. It's mental at the moment, podcasting. Sting v Hogan was good, bound for glory. Interesting. Guys, you're a TNA guy, aren't you? You're a TNA guy. There you go. Until next time, folks, absolute pleasure. Make sure as well you're showing the love to all the channels in the chat as well. Morris is in there doing an absolute stellar job. Henry was in earlier and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you're giving them all your love. And anyone else in the chat who has a channel as well, make sure you're sharing the love with them as always, folks. And I will be back with you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for more wrestling, gossip, news, and opinion. Until then, folks, have a safe evening. Enjoy the football or whatever you're up to. And we'll see you again real soon.